talking about hockey. Two bald guys, and they're talking about hockey. And they're bald. And there's hockey. Hockey.
Jean, are you the orange on the left or the one on the right?
I'm the bald one.
You're the bald one. Cool.
You know, I listened to a podcast. It's called Godin and Bachou, and they have a similar song than we do. I think they copied us. Yeah, we might have to sue them.
Yeah, I'm waiting to get a strike from YouTube because, like, you're not supposed to use music without permission, but this was literally given to us. So,
yeah.
There we go. Come on.
There's no music. It's nobody's music. It's ours.
It is ours. Like my brother-in-law, he does this for a living. So, yeah, look at this. There we go. So, yeah, Jean, welcome. I haven't seen you in a while.
I know. Since the draft, pretty much, eh?
Since the draft, yeah.
Yeah.
I went away. I don't know. Did you go away?
No, I've went away earlier in April, but I just stayed home, stayed in my backyard.
And I sent you a couple pictures from my trip to Windsor. My wife and I bought not tickets. We're gamblers now, sports gamblers.
Yes.
We are betting on two things for the
I saw that
the upcoming hockey season. And I'll tell you what, one of them was my choice and one of them was hers. Do you know which was which?
Yours was the Sens making the Stanley Cup.
No, the playoffs. It's the Sens making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Had to do it. But but Don takes a I don't know what they're called. I'm not a gambler. I'm sorry. But basically, if Edmonton wins the Stanley Cup over the New York Rangers, we win a lot of money.
And you know what? Those are the ones that you need to make. Like, if you lose, okay, you put $20 now. Yeah. You lose $20. No big deal. But if you win, like, you can't make a whole lot of those bets. You can't make those every day. No. But if you do one a year,
and you $20. and you make it, like it's like $600 or $800 or something we win. Like I don't remember. And my biggest worry is we're going to lose the ticket before it ever comes out. But we've done it. We are gamblers.
Yeah.
So yeah, the DCHL draft. How do you think your team did? Now that you've had time to reflect.
Yes, well, I said it before. I said it in my my article that I wrote. I loved the draft that I had. I ended up with 4 first-round picks, and the first pick in the second round. So in 3 high-end defensemen, and I think I drafted Michael Age, who's I think is at least going to be a number 2 center in the NHL, and Igor Surin, which I think is probably one of the most violent players, and like him and Solberg, you know, in competition with Eliason. So I was really happy with my draft, and looking forward to my team doing well in 2027, 2028.
Spoiler alert, I gave you a good part. And to the viewers, to the viewer, we have one person watching now. To the viewer.
Is it Mig?
I have, what's that?
Is it Mig?
I don't know. I can check, but I don't want to.
Okay.
It could be Mick. But what I've done is I've gone through every team's draft and assigned a grade. I'll share the sheet that we have here. I do this every year for every draft and keep track of every team's picks. And what we have is, as I'll scroll down, you can see all the teams. And what we're going to do is go over each team's drafts. We won't spend a lot of time on Boston because we never do. There you go. That's all of them. So we'll go back up to the top. and I have assigned a grade, like an A, B, C, whatever. I tried to do the tiers maker thing, and it's ads, man. I would have you ever seen the tier maker site, Jen?
No. Well, I
It's
know how to make tiers, but I've never
yeah,
seen the cheermaker site.
it's a lot of it just is a way I can pick up each team's logo and drop it by the grade that we give them.
Okay.
But it's the ads, man. So if somebody can tell me how to do that without having to deal with all the freaking ads, because oh my god, I would pay them to turn the ads off. I would pay them. It's a really cool site. It works really well, but I ain't having every 10 seconds the screen flashes up with a new ad, and
No, no.
it's way too crazy.
Yeah.
So that's not going to happen. So I figured we could go alphabetic.
Okay. I didn't
And
grade anybody. I'm just going to tell you what I like and what I don't like.
yeah,
Because I'm not smart enough to be able to grade people.
well, see, you're probably smart to not grade them, whereas I'm dumb. I'm going to get ripped to shit. That's okay. That's what the
So,
comments boxes are for.
yeah. That from that one viewer.
Yes. Okay, so Anaheim, I gave Anaheim a B minus, which maybe it's a decent grade. It's probably a little above at the average of all the teams. What I did like about them was I did like Emil Hemming, picking him at 23. I think they picked good players. I think they just had too many reaches. Like the thing that I didn't like was they built the basis of their draft on reaching for guys. And I don't know if Dan is riding the wave of success of Dustin Wolf, but like he needs to have guys that are gonna make it. And like I like Alphonse Frey, but there's a chance he doesn't make it. And there aren't very many solid picks in here.
Yeah.
And Aaron Kiviharju, that's a huge swing at 54.
Yeah. But he told the Wild that they made the best pick in the draft. They have the steal of the draft at pick 122. It's like they like he I guess they had the microphone close enough to him that when he walked up to the table, he told Bill Guerin, "You just made the steal of the draft at pick 122." So
wow.
I don't believe it, but Dan believes it. I think because he took him at 54. That's like
That's
70, 68 picks early.
when he's passing on guys. See, the problem with this pick to me isn't so much who he's taking as who he's not taking.
Yep.
You know, and there's a lot of solid picks there at when 54 is right there, and you're a team that needs to get players into your lineup because you're going to be trying to compete. You're just kind of, I don't know. There's too many, like even Teddy Stiga at 31. I like Teddy Stiga, but why not take Teddy Stiga at 45?
And Tanner Howe. Oh yeah. So I guess he wanted to make sure that he got him. So
yeah.
he went after the guys he wanted. Like
yeah, I mean,
Hemming, I knew he wanted Hemming like 4 months ago, and he was at the top of his list. So like I like Alphonse Frey, but again, I don't like him in the first round. I like him in the second round. So
yeah.
I like we all have our own opinions on him. Like I can talk about how I made my picks later on, but I like the Hemming, Frey, Stiga, and Tanner Howe. I'm not sure how big I am on him. Because I like, is he 5'11" or is he 5'8"?
I can check.
I know that was
It's 5'9". Oh, that's Kiviharju.
Yeah.
Kiviharju 5'9". Tanner Howe is 5'10".
5'10". Okay, because I had read that he's 5'8". So, but
Well,
he's a little bit taller.
probably 5'8", but Hockey DB hasn't, like,
No, with
they don't
that,
tell Hockey DB the truth, right?
no, I think that was from the combine. Like
Yeah, but the
there's,
combine's going to be right. What's on Hockey DB probably isn't, is what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah. So, but the 5'8" was before the combine. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. There's four guys that I'm like, I like. I'm not super crazy about them, but I like the rest of them. He got some nice picks. That later on that slipped. With who was it from the Giants? And Montreal took. You have your
Oh, Tyler Thorpe.
Mulholland, Curran,
Like,
like
I agree with you. I like the
and
guys he's
Morello.
taking. It's
But
just none of them are really. He took no players that really jumped out at me and went, well, Teddy Stiga maybe. Like, I think Teddy Stiga might be his best pick in this.
so as I told you, like pretty much for me, from round 3 to 7, every time I draft, I hope to get one of those guys. And the reason why I tried to acquire multiple third, fourth round picks is because I think there's, especially in the DCHL draft, I believe there's always some guys that fall. I believe that you can find some steals in there.
Yeah,
From
every year.
picks from Kiviaru to Morello, if he gets one that hits, he should be happy.
Yeah. Well,
So
and I mean, Kivi Haru is either a middle paired penalty or power play specialist defenseman, or he's never anything in the NHL. Like there's no,
there's no,
like,
yeah,
he's gonna
he's
play in
not
Finland
playing.
his entire career.
Yeah, he could be. He could, or he could be, a 70-point guy in the NHL.
Yeah.
So
But I just, but at pick 54, I guess I don't have the balls enough to pick Aaron Kivi Haru at 54.
well, Dustin Wolf.
Okay, yeah, well, I mean, it worked, right? So,
Yeah,
okay, so Buffalo. I gave Buffalo a B minus, and
yeah,
most of that, and this is like number one, I really liked a couple of his picks. For a guy whose first pick is in the third
yeah,
round, sorry,
yeah.
I like Justin Poirier for that first pick. And I know we're just talking about making reaches, but I think I think that's a guy that when you're having that first pick later on, I think you can take that risk on that pick. It's a little different situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I like a couple of the other guys I liked. I like taking Philip Kral. I didn't
Yep,
know who he was, but when I looked at him, I mean, that's a good find.
yep.
So good
I
credit
liked him.
there. Yeah.
That was the guy I liked. That jumped out for me. Um, was that guy?
Yeah. Only list he was on was Buffalo's. Thomas Galvez, another like, I suspect Galvez will be drafted in the NHL next year.
Next year, yeah.
Yeah. Yuri Anala is an interesting pick by Colorado, free agent signing by Colorado. He had like
Yes.
14 goals, and like he had a really interesting season this year in Sweden. And
So,
like a couple good picks. So I'm for a guy who didn't have any early picks, I think he did a pretty good job, which is why I gave him a B minus.
so my question, because I've been looking, not in depth studying, but I've looked at the off the board picks, and I made a few off the board picks also. I didn't make any this year, but over the last few years. And you know what I find with the off the board picks is that they don't come to the NHL to stay.
Uh, well,
I just find like for you're gonna have one or two. like especially if they're like 23, 24, 25, they're going to come to the NHL and they'll be there 1, 2 years and then they're going back home
I will
because
I will say this, Sean, because I've done some in-depth analysis
yep,
as to the success rate of the off the board picks, and their percentage of hitting is about the same as if you don't go off the board picks. The advantage you have to the off the board picks is in a year or two what's going to happen to them.
yep,
Whereas with a guy drafted in the 7th round, you can leave him in your prospect list for 4 years, and he's taking up one of your 60 spots.
yep, yep.
So
it's I see that and I understand that. I just find that the ceiling is not as high. And if you're looking at picking a fourth, fifth, and sixth round, 7th round, the ceiling's not very high either for an 18-year-old. I just find it's yeah.
What I found is if you're looking to get a guy that is a top 4 defenseman or a top 6 forward, you're way more better. You're way better to do that through the regular draft.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a bottom pair defenseman or a number 7 defenseman, I think you're much more successful to do that through the off the board picks. And an off the board defenseman that gets into your lineup saves you about $2 million.
You see?
Because a sixth defenseman in UFA will run you about $2 million per year.
Yep. And you know what? This, my friends, is information you only get when you watch Two Ball Guys.
And maybe one day when we're looking for content, I can show everyone my in-depth draft analysis and we can go through some stuff in detail. But like forwards, it's not as effective to go because you can get a third or fourth line forward cheap, like fairly cheap in UFA.
Yep.
So it's not quite as effective to go with those guys through like an off the board draft pick.
Yep.
But it's way more effective to do the defenseman. So anyway, so yeah, I gave Buffalo a B-. I don't know. Do you want to comment too much more on them?
No, we still have 32 teams to go through. 30 teams to go through.
Okay, Calgary,
wait,
29.
29.
Boston, no.
Because we just went over Boston now.
Well, and some of the teams won't take very long, trust me.
No.
Calgary, I think Calgary is the unlucky recipient of the off board, or not, sorry, the best player available getting Gabriel Eliasson award.
Yeah.
Although the Ottawa Senators would say that he got a deal getting him at 60.
Yeah. It's getting him at 60 was a deal. It was something.
Yeah. I gave Calgary a C. I found that I liked Shravin and I liked Pikkarainen as good value picks.
Yeah. I was going to say the exact same thing for both of them. And I like his home run swing on Max Swanson. I know that you'll be surprised, but if he hits, I think he was the top scorer in the playoffs in the USHL this year.
Oh, he had 17 points in 12 games.
Yeah, I think he was the top scorer in the USHL. So, yeah, I think he did really well with Shravin and Pikkarainen.
So, and like I said, I gave him an average grade because he got stuck with Gabriel Eliasson, who I'm pretty sure he didn't want because he was trying to trade him like the next day.
for a second round pick in 2025.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
I'm like, has he not watched? He obviously hasn't been watching Two Bald Guys.
Yeah, he hasn't sent me a message saying, "Do you want him?" So I guess he has.
Yeah.
Okay, so Carolina, I gave a D. They had 3 picks, all best player available, and I don't know. Gabe Smith, I didn't like Gabe Smith at all. Victor Noringer, I really didn't know much about, and neither with Ben Merrill. So there was nothing here that I felt like I could give anything better than a D.
Yeah, I agree. It's you got a D.
Might
I
be,
think Ben Merrill has potential. I think he's a 6'4" forward from high school. So imagine and he didn't. It's not the same Saint Sebastian as Dean Letourneau played for, right?
no, Dean Letourneau played near me in
Yeah,
Aurora
but is
at
didn't he play for Saint Sebastian also? No.
no, he went to somewhere else in the States.
Okay. So yeah,
We'll
so
we'll,
Ben
we'll look at it
Merrill
when we get there. I can
has
flip flop.
some potential. Um, so but like he was a 6th round pick for Montreal. But
Yeah, this 3 picks, this and best player available. This really shouted, "I don't care." So you get a D.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
And
Columbus,
he got Noringer
Noringer,
at 182 from pick 127.
which isn't bad.
You know what? He went from a 4th round pick to a late 6. I think that's pretty good. Good luck.
Okay, so Columbus, I
Yep.
gave a B. I thought they did okay. I thought they had a pretty good draft. I'll admit I'm a bigger fan of Michael Brandsegg Nygaard than most people. I think maybe even more than you. I think he would have been in my
No,
top 10.
no, he was not in my top 10. But at 16, he's a solid player. To me, I don't know if I said it before. Nina Ryder uh, is a clone of Franz Nygaard. So he just drafted a solid middle 6 winger for the next 12 years if
Yeah,
he doesn't trade him.
if he
So
doesn't trade him.
and go
Sorry,
ahead.
no, go ahead. You
Okay, I love Artemanov at 44. I was planning to he was on my list if I didn't trade all my picks in the 2nd round. And Fernstrom, I liked him at 119. I thought that was a good pick. And Boilard has some potential, and he got him at 135. So I
yeah,
think he
and
had a
that's
solid, like not amazing draft, but I think he had a solid draft.
yeah, and
He added to
I think he did better than most teams in the bottom in those later rounds.
yeah. I liked his draft.
Yeah,
Good job, Mig.
Bergstrom at
And it's not
119 is
because
good.
you're our most loyal fan.
Well, and I will say Jack Pridham from Stouffville, where I live, my town. So
I was waiting for you to say it. I left it there for you.
oh, thanks. Okay, Chicago. Chicago, I also gave a B. I thought they did okay.
Yep.
And that's considering, excuse me, uh, that their first pick wasn't until the middle of the 2nd round. So, one thing I should say that we're going to criticize teams not on trades, but on their drafting.
Yes.
So, with the drafting, I think he did well. I don't think he was smart to have no 1st round picks, but he's got,
I
I think he
I
did
agree.
well.
I
Kleber,
agree with you. He did well. Kleber, solid defenseman. Yegorov, some people had him as the top goalie in this year's draft. Uh, Benarek, I heard a lot of good things. I've seen a little bit of highlights from him. Not going to be your flashy guy, but is going to be potentially a solid 3rd line center. And I love the Brunicky pick at pick 63.
Oh, he again. This is where we're going to criticize other teams. He got really good value. He just took players, and he got good players. And like I think some of these guys are going to be on his roster at some point, unless he trades them.
Yeah. I heard there were a lot of good things about Miguel Marquez. I don't know a lot about him, but I had a podcast that had him as a first round pick. So he got him in the third round. So there's some potential there.
Yeah. And what I guess I'm saying is he got really good value.
Yep, I agree. I think he got
those picks.
Good value with the picks.
Yeah. Okay.
Not having a first round pick.
For not having a first round pick, he did well. I still question his decision making on not having a first round pick.
Especially if you're not competing for the Stanley Cup. I've made that mistake before, trading my first round pick, trying to get better right away. But if you're not the Calgary Flames, you know what I mean?
Philadelphia
Flyers, the Edmonton Oilers that, made it to the Stanley Cup final. Trading your first round pick is, might not be the best thing to do.
Okay. Colorado. I gave a C-.
Yep.
No picks until the 5th round. I did like Owen Allard, only in the sense that, he made the Canadian World Junior team. I don't think he played though, did he?
Yeah, he was a fourth line player. Scored 2 goals.
So he's gonna, if he makes the NHL, he's a third or fourth liner. Yeah. But you're picking in the 5th round. You're getting a guy that might play. I think that's okay.
So he's got a meh draft.
Yeah, which
he drafted some players.
We'll say some players, and I think C-. There you go.
Okay, did he send a list to me that what he's got tells me that was a BPA?
I think he sent a list.
Really? Because they are like, if I'm looking where they got drafted in the NHL, it was like almost pick right there.
Yeah, no, he definitely sent a list because he picked Austin Baker 2 picks before he went in the NHL draft, and that's not going to happen if you're BPA.
Okay, good job. Then you got the guys you wanted.
Yeah, like I said, it wasn't the worst, but this is like, I think you said Mia. I think Mia is the perfect description. Yeah. It was Mia. Okay, Dallas, 2 picks, both goalies. I gave it a D.
You know what? I will tell you, if you're going to have 2 picks and it's going to be in the 6th and 7th round, there's nothing wrong with taking a shot at getting goalies. So I'm good with that. I like it.
You like it? So maybe you don't like my D?
No, I'm not saying it's not a D. I just you had a 6th and 7th round pick. Right? He doesn't deserve anything else.
I would have put more time into my 6th and 7th round picks, but he did take 2 goalies.
And 2 a Latvian and a Russian goalie. And if you look at the NHL, I think we're heading to the point where it's all going to be any Russian goalies because nobody else is developing any.
If they come to the NHL.
Yes. So okay. I like it for 6 or 7. I like the shots.
So there you go. Joe probably likes it better than I do. I'm really unimpressed. Okay, Detroit, I gave a B. And he had pick number 5. Like, I think he had pick 5, which was an easy choice to make based off of where things land.
Yeah.
So I don't really. He took the best player in my mind that was available, except he needs a defenseman. And there were still lots of really good defensemen there. And I know it's hard to not take Caden Lindstrom there, but you need a defenseman. Like the best defenseman he got was Charlie Elick.
Yeah. I like Charlie Elick, but Charlie Elick is not a top pair defenseman. You hope Charlie Elick is going to be your number 4.
At best, he's a number 4. Like
Yep.
I see him as a third pair guy.
Yeah.
And like if you trading back from 5, there were lots of opportunities to do that. He could take Zeev Bayou, take Sam Dickinson, take one of those guys at 5. Like I don't know. Like I
think we need to go back to when we were called. What were we called there by Trevor? The Muppet guys.
The guys from the Muppet.
Waldorf and the other guy.
I can't remember.
Yes. Okay. So anyways, I think it gets back to how much longer will Trevor continue to be in the top and in the bottom 10? Like at bottom, like, because yes, he's drafting good players, but not enough. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like,
well, he's got solid defense or solid centerman.
Yeah.
But he's got to build the lineup.
So there's like it's just like, to me, it's first round picks, and then nothing else is being added to his team.
Well, and that's what he did here, because he only had 4 picks.
Yeah, 4 picks.
4 picks, and I think the 4th one was he just couldn't trade it. Like the Viggo Gustafsson, I think that was just best player available.
So
I know he took Protas because he has his brother on the team.
So I'm like, I know he's in my division, in our division, but I'm waiting for Trevor to do something.
Well,
do something to say, okay.
Every year we say this. Yeah, no, I'm the same way. Like, and maybe he'll do it in free agency this year. Who knows?
So
okay, Edmonton, for a guy that was writing off, like he was tearing his team down. His first pick was a 3rd rounder.
Yeah, but he wasn't looking for first round picks in 2024. He was looking for picks in 2025, 2026, and prospects. Because I spoke to him about, making a couple trades. So I think he didn't like this year's draft.
Well, so I gave him a D.
Yeah,
because I don't think he did anything really worthwhile in this draft.
No,
like there is literally not a single player on here that I looked at with interest in my own. Like, ooh, maybe I can get this guy.
No.
And I know Soini, but I was never impressed. I knew McIsaac, but was never impressed. And I don't know.
I didn't have any of those guys on my list.
There you go. Like, and I only had 2, and they weren't high on my list.
So,
well, anyway, so Florida. Okay, Jean, you ready?
Let her go.
Florida, and this is painful for me to say. I gave you an A.
Oh, nice.
I really like the D, the 3D you took in the first round. And like the way I see it is, you saw an opportunity and you took it. Like this was that is franchise building picks. And in your article, I think you said the next couple of years. I think it might be a few more years than that.
Yeah.
But let's say 4 years down the road, 5 years down the road, if you don't trade those guys, you have a plus decor going for the next 10 years. Yeah. Like it's really well done. And
thank you.
I really liked Jaeger Surin. I really like. And he was, when I took Bash at 25, I won't tell you how close I was to taking Sir in there as well. I just like the upside of Basham more.
Yeah.
But I think Surin, the way he plays, will be a beast in the sim, because it really seems to like those physical guys. The problem you might have is the penalties and suspensions that might come with them. But like, and in the NHL draft, God, I wanted Ottawa to. If Ottawa hadn't traded that pick at 25, I was desperately wanting them to take Surin, because that is the kind of player they need in their forward core.
Yeah.
So, credit there, and I will mock you a little bit for the two goalies you drafted, because I don't think, like, I don't know about goalies. I'm not gonna pretend I do, but you're gonna be waiting on these two guys for
30-31, 30-32.
There you go.
That's okay. I'll talk about my draft a little bit, but I'll talk about my goalies. Those two guys were I need goalies, and I know that like I need to start to build up my goalie prospects. And my goal was to draft two goalies, and I was hoping to get them in the fourth and fifth round. But those were on my list that I had for goalies. They were the last two guys that were left. Every other goalie that I had got drafted early in the second or earlier in the third. There's one guy I think went 84th or 86th just before my turn came around. So I took them knowing that they're not going to be playing for Florida Panthers or DCHL and probably until 30-31, 30-32, 7 years from now. Not 4 or 5, I say 7 years from now. So I took them, stashed them away, and I know it's going to be tough to keep them on my team for that long, but I want to see what I could build. For my first round, did you want to say something about my
Well,
goal?
sorry, I just wanted to say one more thing about your draft. And you got the two players that Ottawa Senators drafted that I was actually really happy that they drafted, in Javon Moore and Blake Montgomery. Great picks. So, sorry. Go ahead.
They were on my list before the Senators drafted them. I had Javon Moore as a late second, early third. And that's why when I had I got an opportunity to acquire more fourth round picks and drop back in my third round, was because I wanted Javon Moore, and I had Montgomery in the fourth, and he was on my list from day one. So yeah, that's when
credit where credit is due. But you wanted to talk about your first round?
Yeah. You guys can believe me or not, but there was Celebrini, Demidov. After that, I had 4 guys that I wanted, and I ended up with 2 of them. There was Byam, Lindstrom, Dickinson, and Salayev. I ended up with Dickinson and Salayev at 8 and 10. And then in my other picks, other guys that I had in the first round in the top 10, I had Iginla and Seneke. And believe me or don't believe me, I had Michael Age in my top 10 because he was the best player in the USHL in the second half of the season and the best player like for his team in the playoffs for Chicago. And if everybody, I don't know if anybody knows, but his dad passed away in a pool accident last summer. So that he didn't play well the first half of the season, to me,
makes sense.
Makes sense. So, and then second half of the season, he was lights out. And then I love Solberg and Surin. I love Surin so much that I traded a first round pick next year to acquire him. So,
Well,
and from my third round to the sixth round, I threw darts at the dartboard. I just there was a whole lot of guys that I liked, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take shots at them. On top of the guys that we already talked about, I had Herman Traff. I was gonna take Herman Traff at 74, and I traded back to 90 and I got him at 94.
those are always good, eh? Like
As
uh, I'll have a similar story in mind, but
yeah,
there's nothing better than that feeling when you're trading back, like you feel like you're gonna lose out on a guy and he's still there.
yeah, and I wasn't in love with Herman Traff, but there was nobody else that I liked, and I thought it was too early for the goalies. And
Yeah,
when I was offered to like a late third and a late fourth to move back, I said, you know what? There's nobody that I'm in love with at 74, and so I'll move back. There's a couple guys here that I want to talk about. Olinka, that hurt me to draft him because he was drafted by the Leafs, but I heard a lot of good things about him, and I said I thought that the Leafs got a steal at 151. And Torrey Pittner, I had him as a third round pick. And the fact that he lost it to 185 in the NHL draft.
he was
And
definitely an interesting prospect, and
yeah,
how he slipped in the NHL draft. Like I
yeah,
would love to know sort of the reason why someone like that. There's a few players, but
yeah.
someone like, why did he slip?
I don't know. He got invited to the summer showcase that's starting this at the end of this weekend on Friday.
Oh, he gets to hang out with Caden Price.
See? So
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, so LA again, a team that didn't pick till late, but they're a highly competitive team.
Yeah.
So I don't disapprove of this strategy, and I gave them a C minus. I thought they picked up some interesting players. I really like Trevor Hoskin at 151. The kid had like 40 plus goals this year, and I think it was just a whole lot of, because I think he drafted best player available. I think luck was on his side a little bit on some of this, but he
Yeah.
seemed to get some decent value on these picks when it came up for
Well,
him to pick.
well, look at how much they dropped, like all of them. I was surprised that he got John Whipple at 195.
Yeah, well, and
So
I like Nate Miskey too, like a good offensive defenseman.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, like, and when you're talking about throwing darts, I feel like he's got some darts here that might hit.
yeah, and
For,
and he, as you said, he's a team that's competing for the Stanley Cup. So
what?
hey, the fact that he doesn't have a pick until the fourth round makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Anything you want to add on LA?
No,
I gave him a C minus. Minnesota.
good job.
Yeah, Minnesota. I gave a B plus to, and I think it had to do with value as much as anything. He got good value on Parasak. I think Parasak was drafted too early in the NHL,
Yeah,
but at 30, that's
and
it's
he's
an
got
easy.
potential. The ceiling is really high.
Yeah, like
So
Lucas Fisher. I like Lucas Fisher. Like I don't know, like, where did he get him at 68?
68, and
Yeah,
and I Fisher, Spalacci were both on my list, but they were too like well, I think they were too high, especially Fisher, 56. I had him in the third round, and he got him at 68 in the third round. And Spalacci was hoping to get him in a fourth, and he went to 74.
Yeah, and I wanna just talk about his two off the board picks. Beckett Hendrickson was he had a really good year last year, and he was released. Like this is the caution I give to teams that are releasing
Having
players. Make sure you know who you're releasing, because Beckett Hendrickson was on like 4 lists, I think. He was on mine, Buffalo's, Minnesota, and I think Philadelphia, and we all had him pretty high. Like I think he went in the fourth round here. Like we all like he's going to the University of Minnesota next year,
Yep.
and he had a really good year this past year, and it's looking good for him the next couple of
That,
years. So
that's I suffer from that sickness. It's called the draft syndrome, where the draft is coming in and you have so many guys that you want that you're acquiring so many picks. And like to me, I went into like all year long. I'm only gonna have picks in the first 3 rounds. I'm not gonna get any late picks. I'm gonna try to trade them, sell them, whatever. The NHL draft happens, and then a whole bunch of guys that I have on my list that I thought were gonna go in the third, fourth round ended up going in the fifth, sixth round, and one of them is right there, Fedor Avramov. I had him in my fourth round, and he went in the he went 188 in the
no,
NHL
Avramov
draft.
won at 152.
Yeah, and
Potov won
then
at 184.
and I was hoping to get him, and Minnesota took him. So that was one of my favorite picks of the draft. And Yustinkov, I don't understand how come he didn't get drafted. He's going to get drafted next year,
I think so.
and Jake is going to love that pick.
Well, I don't know. Do you still listen to Will's Couch or
Yep.
Will's Couch?
That
He made a comment that he had heard that a lot of NHL teams in the later rounds, he'd heard from scouts or whatever, that a lot of NHL teams just sort of went, whatever in the late rounds because they really didn't like anyone in particular, so they were just
really well
saying names.
they
And
lost out on a potential
well,
really good
I think so.
pick.
I think so. Like I don't know why you think of Heinonen, Tobias Heinonen, and who was there was another big one that we had earlier that Buffalo took. Who was it that Buffalo took? Galvez, Thomas Galvez.
Yeah, didn't get
There
drafted.
were guys that should have been drafted, I think, and they weren't. So
Yeah.
we'll see if they get
So
drafted next year. I suspect they do. And that, my friends, will make my job harder next year because I'm going to have to keep track of who was drafted in our draft this year. Okay, so
good
Minnesota.
job, Jake. I think you had a solid draft.
Yeah, and I gave him a B plus. Okay,
Oh.
Montreal, and this is like again we've talked about this. Like this is a non-competitive team. They had 3 picks, 2 of them in the top 10, and
Top
then
6.
one in the 7th round that I swear he just couldn't trade it. Like he couldn't find someone to take it from him, so it just went best player available. Like Macklin Celebrini, okay, number 1, you won the draft lottery, good for you. Beckett Seneke fell to him at 6. You can't like I can't. How do I give a guy a grade for making 2 picks, which are just basically Macklin Celebrini, and Beckett Seneke, and BPA? It's the easiest draft in the whole league to make.
You won the lottery.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is. He won the lottery.
He won the lottery, so I gave him a C. Like he didn't have to do anything.
For the quality he won the lottery, and he did the work before because he ended up with those picks. So the effort at the draft was minimal, but the picks were amazing.
He's the guy that gets an A on a test you didn't study the night before. Because there was nothing to this. So I gave him a C because that's the average grade. You didn't do anything, but you got two good players.
Yeah.
And if Ty Henry turns out to be something, good for you. Okay, Nashville, I gave a B- to. And I really liked what they did with their first three picks. And then after that, it kind of just fell off. Like he started off really well.
Yeah.
I like Baudouin at 32, and I think he
Love.
traded down to get Baudouin, right?
Yeah, with me.
There you go. Hey, and I like Baudouin. He's a big, strong kid. Like he's going to be an NHL player. I think he was taken a little bit early in the NHL draft, but you traded back and you got him. I like Dryden. I don't know. Do you like Dryden?
Yes, he's got high end potential. It's like he could be a top six forward. He could be a power play specialist, with tons of scoring potential, and he got him at 39.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that.
And he slipped, right? Like he slipped a bunch.
Yeah.
Okay, and taking Maxim Siplikov, like beauty. First off the board pick ever by a Nashville GM. Yay.
Well, first time ever a Nashville GM made it its own pick.
That wasn't BPA.
That wasn't BPA. And he was active. He traded back. He looked to make some more trades after I made the trade with him. So and what we agreed to is that if let's agree to a deal, and when pick 15 comes in, if you decide yes you want to make the deal, you tell me we're making a deal, and then I make the pick, and the deal is already agreed to. And he goes, okay, let's do that. So that's what we did, and I think he got the value he needed because he needed more quantity than quality, and I think Cole Baudouin is amazing.
Well, he got three. Like honestly, those three picks, I see those three picks all being in his lineup or in the NHL at some point.
Yeah.
So you get three players in a draft in your first three picks, and they're all going to be players. I mean,
any pick after that don't matter.
Well, and the reason he didn't get a higher grade was because the picks after that really
don't matter because you got three players in the with your first three picks that are going to be in your lineup. I think I strongly believe that. And yep, I don't know if I said it earlier, but I said it to you. To me, picked from the third round to the seventh round, if I get one guy in each draft that makes my team out of those picks, I think I'm happy. Even if I have 10 picks, the reason why I want 10 picks is I want to increase my odds of getting one guy to make it. So.
Okay, so New Jersey. I gave New Jersey a C-. I liked one of their picks. I thought Luke Osborne has upside. And after that, I mean, he only had three picks in the draft. So, and Luke Osborne is why it isn't a D. Because I don't know if he lucked into Luke Osborne, I think.
Well, he dropped to 155, so it's yeah. And it's like JL. Mark is competing, and he doesn't need first round picks right now. He's trying to compete, and he's trying to win I think it's his first championship, even though he made it to the cup final.
Yeah. So I don't think he's won yet.
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't need to talk about the Devils too much. The New York Islanders, 2 first-round picks. I gave them a C+. What I wrote for my notes was it's a mixed bag. I liked Luchenko at 20, but I didn't like Letourneau at 27. And Nabokov, I can see why, but I think Nathan Villeneuve, now maybe you like Villeneuve more than I do, but I have real questions about Villeneuve. So I wouldn't have reached on him where like he went at 53.
Well,
I
do you
wouldn't have taken
remember the
him at
reason
60.
why he took Villeneuve? He knows
Uh,
him personally.
oh, does he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. He said that he used to, when he was in high school, he used to be his bus driver.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Or
maybe I'll give him.
not high school, but before he went to Sudbury. So I completely agree with him. Um, I'm not crazy about his first round picks, Luchenko, Letourneau. I'm I'm not saying they're not good picks. I just think that Luchenko is at best a third line center. To me,
Oh, I
at
agree.
best.
Letourneau's
Um,
7 years away.
Letourneau is Letourneau is either going to be a really good player and a steal, or he's going to be a fourth line center. So,
This is Letourneau's career. He's going to be 3 years in college. He's going to go the whole 3 years in college,
yep,
and he'll sign. Probably he'll sign with Boston. So he'll do at least 2 years in the AHL before he goes to the NHL. So that's 5 years right there
yep,
before he's getting a sniff at the NHL. So at best, your DCHL is 6 years away.
yep.
And I think it's probably 7 years away. But like that is a long time to wait on pick number 27. So
Yep, I agree. I didn't like his first round. Nabokov just won the KHL MVP in the playoffs.
and I
Best
can't
goalie in the
criticize that pick.
KHL. He's
I
21
cannot
years old.
criticize that pick.
The only issue that I have with that pick is that Flax has Jacob Fowler. He's got Askarov. He's got who's the other goalie? Is it Saros that he still has? So he's stacking goalies. I think he could have added at pick 41. He could have added something else. But if Nabokov comes to the NHL to Colorado and he becomes Colorado's number one goalie, he just hit a grand slam, not a home run, a grand slam.
Yeah.
So, but my favorite pick for Flax is Max Blount at 83.
Well,
That's my
and
favorite pick.
this is where credit where credit is due. Like Max Plant is a home run swing. He's an all or nothing guy.
Yep.
And I think at what was it, 80 something?
83.
83, he took a guy that is a big time home run swing.
Okay.
Great.
So to me, Max Blount and Jet Luchenko are the same players. Like same type. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
put
yeah, yeah,
those
yeah,
two
yeah.
guys in the
I see what
same
you're saying.
chair in the same bowl. That they will become very similar players in 5 years from now. Not saying Luchenko won't be a good player. I'm just saying there was more potential at 20 left on the board.
Yep.
So
Okay. The Rangers. Oh
yes.
boy, here I go. Okay, the Rangers, I gave them a C plus, and you lose a grade when you're picking in the top three and you don't show up to make your pick. You don't even send in a list. You don't do nothing. So you get BP8 at pick 3. That's a problem. Shame on you. Okay, so Artyom Levshinov will go down in DCHL history as the best BPA player ever. I hope he does, because that would mean someone else would have to be not showing up. But that's just ridiculous. I did like Miettinen. Miettinen going at where did he go? At 35.
Yep.
I like that pick.
Yep.
I like Vini. He's a goalie though, and I like Kevin He. He was on my list. He was in that range on my list, but I can't give anybody a B grade or better, who BPA's picked number 3, which he probably would have taken Levshunov anyway.
Yeah. Personally, since I picked at 8 and I didn't have Levshunov in my top 10, because I find his decision making is not very good, and he's more of a rover than he is a defenseman. So, and I have my doubts as if that's going to work in the NHL. Obviously, the Chicago Blackhawks disagree with me, and they're a lot smarter than I am because they took him at 2 above the Demidov. So, but that was my personal opinion. I really liked Metinen, and Vinny was on my goalie list. You need to add goalies at one point or another. So you add them through the draft or through trade. But just like the 2 goalies I just drafted, Mark better not hope to see Vinny on his team until 2030, 2031.
But he's a bad team, and he's only got 4 picks.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, you're not going to rebuild your team by just drafting in the top 10 like that. Like, it's not going to happen. You gotta do the work, man.
Yep.
Okay, now it's Ottawa.
Ottawa.
And I'll tell you the grade I gave myself, and I want you to be critical. I don't want you to just say how smart I am or something. Okay, I gave myself. Well, I actually know you won't say that, but I gave myself an A-, and
okay.
My first I took a reach on Andrew Basha because I really liked him, and as it turns out, I don't think I needed to. I think I could have taken EJ Emery at 25, and the way the draft played out, having looked at what each player took, I probably still would have got Basha at 42. Was it 42?
Yeah.
But I say that, but I really like Dominic Badinka too. Like, so, I really, Dominic Badinka was in my first round ranking. So I think if the problem is my ranking system, then that's different than my draft strategy.
Yeah.
My next 4 picks, really good. I think I got really good value on my next 4 picks.
Yeah.
Dominic Badinka at 42. Wow. I was really surprised I got him there. Like, I was really surprised.
Yeah.
And then I took Salen Wallenius at 56. And I sat there between him and Linus Eriksson and went, which of these 2 guys do I want? Because I was always going to take Linus Eriksson with that second pick in the second round. But I really like Linus Wallenius, Salen Wallenius. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to take the second defenseman. And then, holy shit, Linus Eriksson is still sitting there in the 3rd round. And which blew my mind again, Spencer Gill. Spencer Gill is like, I'm not pretending Spencer Gill is going to be anything other than a 5 or a 6 defenseman, probably a 6. But the fact that I was able to get those 4 guys in the second round, basically I took 5 guys who went in the second round. If you add Andrew Basha, who was the second round.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think on the whole, that's a really good take.
Yeah.
And my
I
late
agree.
round picks, I mean, we'll see. Jackson Edward, I think, is the least Steve pick ever, because I sent you a video of him just beating the shit out of a guy who ran his goalie. And he's like on top of the guy in the crease, beating the shit out of him, which is not a Steve type of player, but he's a Boston Bruins type of player who is in his system. And again, Prokhor Poltapov, Seattle, stop releasing good players, even if they're Russian. Please. I mean, like, I don't know if he's going to make the NHL, but if he does, he was a second round pick.
Yeah.
So please. So yeah, okay, Jean, let it rip.
Well, you know what? I agree with your the note that you gave yourself. I'm not crazy about you taking Basha at 25. I would have. There was a lot of other guys. I would have taken Cole, Baudouin, and Yegor Surin before Basha. Um, just those two coming to mind. But I love Badinka. Selin Wallenius, it was a solid pick, I think. Love Herrickson and love Spencer Gill where you got them. So those three picks to me, Badinka, Erickson, and Gill, like were three home runs that you hit. And Basha, like I'm not saying Basha was a good pick. I just thought it was a reach. And I thought there was um you mentioned earlier, it's what you left on the board, and I think you
Yeah.
left better players on the board when you took them.
Well, on my list, it was EJ Emery and Andrew Basha at 20 and 21. And I don't remember who was 20 and who was 21.
Yeah. So
But I
Basha
wanted
is
to get
more.
a defenseman with one of those two picks and then a forward with the other one of those picks.
Yeah. So I think you did well. Um, Rishlovich was on my list as an off the board pick, and yeah, Potlakov, Pov, yeah, he unfortunately he got released,
Or
but yeah,
fortunately, like
unfortunately for
no,
him, I
like yeah, just make sure you know who you're releasing. Like that's
yeah,
that's what I gotta say.
yeah,
Um, Philadelphia, 12 picks. I gave them a B. No picks until the fourth round, maybe the
yeah,
fifth round. Uh, and I think I, their first two picks were these two goalies, Nick Kempf and Christian Kirch, San Jose and Washington goalie draft picks.
yeah.
I, after that, I think he did really well. I really like Noah Chadwick. I really like Cade Weber. I really like Noah Laba. I didn't really know some of the other guys, but
No,
I think he did pretty well.
yeah. I think he like again one of the guys that's competing. So he added depth to his prospect pool. So it's I think he's
And Cade Weber is a Toronto defenseman.
okay.
And
I don't know a lot about him.
no, but he was drafted by New Jersey, I think, but then New Jersey traded him to Toronto for a fifth round pick.
Okay.
And he's another
Oh
player that
yes,
was
I remember
released.
now. Oh
He
yeah.
was
Okay.
released.
Yes, I didn't read like I
And
didn't make the connection that it was that guy,
but
like a 6'4", 6'5" guy, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Leafs are gonna play him.
yeah,
Like if he has any ability, because they need right shot defensemen.
yeah.
Like
So
Cade Weber was on my list, and I give credit to that to Philly for making that pick
yeah,
because I
great.
think he's going to be a
That's
player.
yeah. I didn't know that he was not. He wasn't drafted. He wasn't on a team in the DCHL. So
No, he
good
was
job,
another guy that's been released.
Josh. Good job.
Yeah. So pro
So
tip.
I tried really hard to acquire 127, 126, 127 from him. Really hard.
Oh, really?
He only wanted a third round pick.
Wow.
I tried to give him my fourth and fifth next year. Like they're back end of the fourth round. My fourth round next year is going to be a
Early.
early fourth. Nope. And early fifth. Nope. I'm not budging. You need to give me a third. I'm not giving you a third. And I didn't have a third anyways.
Well, the one thing I can say is I'm pretty sure most of these players will not be on his roster for 2 years.
Yeah.
He'll trade them or release them.
So
Okay. Pittsburgh. I gave C plus. I don't know how these teams that are struggling that don't make the playoffs and can get by with no picks until end of the second round. Like like Jesse
okay.
Pulkkinen was the best player he took. And I like Jesse Pulkkinen.
So
that's the player you're putting on your
I will
roster.
tell you, okay, Sean, I don't know if Sean got a hold of my list somehow that I accidentally sent it to him. But like there's a whole lot of players that he drafted that I had on my list.
Oh,
A whole lot of them.
I like
So
Colin Ralph. I like Ole Josephson. I don't know, is it Josephson or Josephson?
I would say
But
Josephson. Oh, I don't know. I think it's
Josephson,
I think
I
it's
like Ollie.
yeah, yeah.
Like they're good. They're good players, but I don't timer call. I did a lot of video watching on timer call. Like good. He made some decent picks, but
Where's your first round pick?
well,
Sean? Where I like we need one show, we're gonna have to go back and look at okay, what did you get for your first round pick? Because last year when was it when uh, uh, Dan traded his first round pick, which ended up being number 6. He got the Detroit, I know the New Jersey pick that went second overall 2 years ago after Slavkowski. Um, I really like him. My God, I'm getting a memory blank. But at least he got
Slavkowski. Okay, the NHL draft. It was
yeah.
Slavkowski. It
Plus,
was Nemec. It was
okay,
Logan Cooley, and then it was Shane Wright.
so he traded his first round pick, which ended up being Seneca at 6, and he got Nemec. So in that deal, so I'm like, yeah, that's a good deal. I don't, I cannot, don't remember what trade that Sean gave up his first round pick for, but I'm sorry, Sean.
This is not good.
No, no. If you're
I
not
gave
going to
him a C
compete,
plus. I gave
I
him a
made
C
that mistake.
plus. Yeah, I gave him a C plus because I liked some of the players he drafted,
I
but
so
I'm not giving
yeah,
him anything better than that.
so yeah. Love Polkin and Terrence Smith was on my list. Um, Josephson, um, Wallenius. Like I don't know if you and people realize Wallenius by the end by in the final European scouting, he was 41st. He went from not being ranked at the start of the season to 41st. He just kept climbing, climbing, climbing. So and Roman Shokran, I'm sure you're shocked that a 6'4" defenseman, 215-pound defenseman was on my list, but he was on
I'm
my
not.
list, and I was hoping to get him. He picked him just before I did.
Well,
So,
like I said, I didn't give him a bad grade. I gave him a slightly better than average, I guess, C
yeah,
plus.
and
But
keep your
he's
first
got
round
to do
picks or trade them to me.
better. Okay, okay. So this is the team that I'm sure everyone's been waiting for us to discuss.
Yes,
This
well, he
is
texted us. He's worried that we're gonna take him behind the woodshed.
okay. I gave him a B plus. I thought he did. I thought there were some picks that he did very well, and I think there were some mistakes that he made. But I think ultimately, I think he did fairly well. I think his number one mistake was drafting only one defenseman in a class of like a lot of good depth defensemen in this draft. Like I would be interested to know in 5 years how many of the defensemen through the 7 rounds of this draft are in the NHL or have played NHL games because I think there's going to be a lot more.
Yeah,
Um, and EJ Emery's a good defenseman, but that's the only defenseman he drafted, and that I think that's a problem. I will give him credit though on I think Tijikinla and Berkeley Catton really good at 4 and 9.
yep,
If there's a pick where he should have gone defenseman, maybe like Cole Eiserman taking a defenseman at 17 Like I think Stian Solberg was there, right?
Yzerman was on his list
From
like
the beginning
to be in the top 10.
Yeah,
So
I know, but in the
it's
ultimate building a
so
franchise,
can you move the screen up, because right now we're only up to pick 82, because I know he's got a lot more picks than that. So
yeah, okay. So can you well, you can see.
yeah,
Everyone just remember Tish Iginla is the first one.
yeah. So
Okay.
like he added a lot of depth to his team, to his prospects pool, which he already had. So he had to release a few guys. Iginla and Cadden are potentially could be top line players. So you had a solid draft, but he could have had a franchise changing draft.
Well, and his
If he
grade
didn't
that I
trade
gave
any,
him, before you say what I think you're going to say, the grade I gave him was based off of the draft picks and
yeah,
not the trades.
yeah.
So
So
go ahead.
so I'm gonna just go and say at 2, 4, 2, 3, 4, and 9, those four guys could have been franchise altering picks, and it could have made it a draft for the ages. So, and when I talk about a draft for the ages, a draft that set up a team like San Jose when he ended up with McDavid and Jack Eichel, a draft like Minnesota when he ended up with all those picks early. So I think it's he had the potential for that. He got some really good picks for where he was. I find after Carter George, I don't like his picks. The next three, Proshishin, Graf, and Quinlan. I'm not crazy about
Okay,
that. Those three
Quillen,
picks.
but okay, I will say I agree with you 100% on precision. And Colin Graf and Jacob Quillen, what's the point in his franchise? Those are two NCAA guys who are probably going to be third or fourth liners in the NHL at best.
And you took them at 71 and 77.
When if you hadn't taken them, there were Spencer Gill, who I took, defenseman. Like there were really good defensemen available in the 70s that he could have taken that would have been way better for his franchise down the line.
Yep.
Instead of two NCAA, they were both on my list. Like I'm not going to say they're not decent players, but they're not going to be anything more than at best a second line, and really I think it's a third or fourth liners.
So after Carter George, the only pick that I like that he made was Maxim Massey. He's got potential to be a power forward, scoring power forward in the NHL.
Who is
Romani,
the Maxim Massey is the only one he got value on.
Yep.
He didn't reach.
I think I like Romani, but there was a major reach. Took him at 80, and he went
way
160.
too early for Romani.
Way too early. Yeah, Zetterberg, I heard that there's other guys that wanted him, and he got him at 114. So if you really want your guy, you go and get him. And if you didn't take him at 114, I don't think he would have been there at 154. So if you really like him, I can live with that one. But there was too many reaches, as you said, after Carter George. So and Carter George, starting pick 47, you had a whole lot of reaches, Zach. So
when these picks, it's not necessarily like that it's a bad pick. It's, do you really need another center in your lineup, or do you need to go with a defenseman? And again, at 47, shit, there were good defensemen. Leo Salin Wallenius, who I drafted at 50 something, putting him here instead of Ethan Precision.
Jesse Pulkkinen, who's
Jesse Pulkkinen. Like, there's
would
just
have been
so
an
many
amazing pick at
options.
47. So he had a really good draft. He could have had an A plus draft.
Oh, the potential was there. The potential was there.
Yeah.
Like I said, I gave him a B plus. I liked a lot of what he did, but I think, like you say, it's sort of the
But like we're criticizing him, but he could be walking away with 6 or 7 guys from this draft on his team.
Well, his first 4 picks.
Again, Lakaden, Iserman, Emery, and Richie.
Yeah.
Like, are all good picks. It's after that. Carter George was one of the best goalies in the draft.
Yeah, I don't hate the Carter George pick. I don't hate it. I think it was too early.
Yeah.
Especially when you're picking again at 47. But I don't know. Maybe somebody would have taken.
So
anyway, B plus. Good, but A
could have been
plus
amazing.
would have been wasn't far from the plans. San Jose, I gave a C. Nothing really great value. And we'll see. Like there was nothing here. I gave it a C because I just felt it was like, yeah. Atus Koivu at 58. I don't know. I'm not the biggest Atus Koivu fan, so
I thought it was a reach at 70 by Montreal, and I think Montreal drafted him at 70 because because of his dad was Saku.
Yeah.
And now San Jose took him at 58. So
we'll see.
So the 2 guys I like, Evan Gardner and Alexis Bernier were to me were good guys. And look, we're saying that Zach should have drafted some defensemen. Look at
these
defensemen
defensemen
that the San Jose drafted.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting. Okay, St. Louis. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this one because he made 1 pick.
Yes.
At number 12. A player that neither of us really liked all that much.
No.
I gave a C minus. Zane Parekh. I guess he was the best defenseman available at that point.
He was the best defenseman. He's got potential to be an amazing defenseman. I just like Levshunov, I think he's more of a rover than a defenseman, and I don't know if how patient his head coach is going to be when he's roving around and skating around all over the ice. So
it's Calgary, right?
Yeah. So, but the thing I don't understand with Max, and he won the Stanley Cup, so I can't judge. He just won a Stanley Cup, not this year, last year. So maybe I should mind my own business, but we're here to talk. Is he has no prospects. Like if you look at his team, yeah, I think he's got like 10 prospects on his team. And you go into the draft, and I know he had other picks. I offered him, to trade up like from 17 after I acquired yours. I offered him a second and a third to go from 17 to 12, and there was zero potential for negotiation. So I just find that you don't have any prospects and you walk away from the draft with 1 pick. Potentially
because you traded away everything else.
Yeah. So he's good. But again, he won the Stanley Cup, so
what do we know? although he finished in 12th, like 12th from the bottom. So,
Yeah.
okay, Tampa Bay. I gave we've been giving Tampa Bay really good grades every year. I think this is going to be the lowest grade that Justin has ever had.
Yeah.
I gave him a B plus, and I really liked the meat of it too. And I think it takes a little bit of takes some stones to do it. And Yakimchuk at 12, I think that's where Yakimchuk should have gone, was around 12, or was it 11?
11.
Well, did he try to trade pick number 200, or did he have a plan for that pick?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know. I think he forgot that he had it because I think he forgot that he had it because he only
maybe it's
wanted
us that are
picks.
nuts.
I know. I think he only wanted picks in the first round. Because here's what you've been saying. Teams have too many prospects and then they have to release guys. So he's saying, okay, I'm gonna sell my picks after the first round or trade them away for future picks because he doesn't want to have to release like he gets to the point where he's got too many prospects and they haven't graduated yet because he's his third draft. And so I think for the last 2 years he's had 5 first round picks plus second round picks and some thirds. So he's revamped completely the prospect pool, and he didn't want to have to draft guys to release other guys. So that's why his plan was to go all in on those picks.
Like, at the end of the day, he's ending up with another superstar forward and potentially a solid DCHL defenseman.
Well, right now, like, okay, he's got Demidov,
Bedard.
Bedard, Crystal, Dalibor Dvorsky, like he's got an all-star potentially prospects coming through at forward, and his defensemen are Simashev, Minchikov, and now Yakimchuk. So he's building quite the team through the draft. So
yep. And don't forget Alexander Plasovsky.
So yes,
a player who will be released in a year or two.
So
okay, do you want to say anything else about Tampa Bay? I mean, I gave them a B plus, or
no,
sorry,
no.
B plus. Okay, Toronto, and I gave a grade based off the draft picks, and we can talk about the long term planning that this draft will create. I gave him a B minus on the drafting. Liam Greentree, all his picks are pretty much for the first 3 rounds are all pretty much reaches. Or 2 rounds. Greentree was a reach at 18. Although, to be fair, I don't think Greentree is a huge reach at 18. Like, I think he slipped for unknown reason.
Green, like 18, 26. It's in that range. So I like that pick. Cole Hudson, you know how I feel about 5'9" defensemen. So
I didn't like that pick.
Yeah. And O'Reilly, I love O'Reilly. So I love the fact that he was going to take him at 32 when I made, or 33 when him and I made that trade, and then he traded back and he still got him. So, like,
that works.
And he got 50 in a first round pick for it. So good for him on that one. John Mustard, I thought was a reach. Muggley,
I think John Mustard's a big reach at 52.
Yeah. Muggley, I was not a fan at all. At all. Love Skahan. Thought Misa was a reach,
A
and
huge reach. Huge.
Zarubin, I was on my list of one of the goalies drafted, and he's the guy that got drafted just before my pick came up. He was a guy I was going to go after. So I think just like me, he's going to end up with having to release guys because he's got so many prospects, and so next year he's got a whole lot of the guys he's been drafting are going to have to be released.
Well, how many of these guys are going to be released next year or the year after?
Well, next year he's going to release guys that he drafted last year because he did the same thing last year.
And that's great. Thank you. Because I will be sure to scout. Like every time anybody releases somebody, I'm looking at what those 3 guys or 4 guys or however many players, I'm looking at who was released.
Yeah.
So
it's he took some shots at the dartboard, and
we'll see.
So
okay,
Utah.
I gave a B plus. I thought for the value of their picks, they did fairly well. I really liked a lot of their late picks for guys that I mean, Battaglia, I'm not a huge fan of Battaglia, but I can see him going in the range where he went. Noel Franson, I like Noel Franson. Again, another defenseman who would have looked really good in a Seattle uniform. Henry Muse, like I didn't have a problem with him taking Henry Muse at 61. I thought that was a good reach, a good gamble. I really like Hiroki Goisic.
Yes.
And Alexander Blaze. Like I think the players he took, or like you said, someone else had your list. Well, a lot of this was my list.
Yeah. He had a solid draft for not having a first round pick and having 3 late seconds. So
well, he actually
I think he
had
had a solid
first
draft.
rounds that he traded back on both of them.
Yeah. So
I thought like B plus to Utah. I thought that was a good use of their draft equity.
And Trevor usually drafts well, so not surprised.
Vancouver, again, a non-playoff team. Now he likes to trade. His first pick was 100.
But he had 7 and 11 for the longest time. But he is very close to being able to compete. So he got himself a goalie of the future or a goalie of the present and future in those trades, and something else I can't remember. So
yeah, he traded Tristan Jarry. He traded 4 and then didn't he trade 4 and then traded him away?
Yeah, but he didn't give up a first round pick to get it. But he ended up with Swayman. So I think it's
top goalie in the top one of the top goalies in the league, I think.
Yeah. So and he's got him for a long
contract.
time.
Yeah. So I did give him a C because this is average, like nothing really here. Like I like Zellers, I like Matejko. I don't really know. Like Humphreys, I see why Humphreys dropped in the NHL draft. I'm not like I know he was high on a lot of lists, but he wasn't high on my list. Like I had some issues. Anything you want to add on Vancouver? I mean, no, I thought this was average.
You know what? I'm not against what he did to try to, because he's there. Remember, doesn't he have Draisaitl?
Probably.
Yeah, I think he's got Draisaitl and a few other high-end players. So I'm not opposed to him trading away 7 and 11 to try to add to his team for Draisaitl. So
okay,
he's doing something.
We're almost through this 32 teams.
I know.
Vegas. I gave Vegas a B. I thought they did well drafting. You and I have had lots of conversations on Trevor Connolly. I don't think we need to do any more of it here.
No,
But after that, I think they did well. Luca Morelli, Carson Wedge. I like Colton Roberts. I know a lot of people don't, but I like Colton Roberts. Jake Fisher. I don't know. Jared Woolley, I didn't know.
he's he was a sixth defenseman for London. Huge.
Oh, okay.
So usually Vegas drafts a lot of guys on my list, and this year not even close to any of the guys that they drafted were on my list. So
They did have a rather extensive list that they sent in for the late rounds, but they seemed to like just be every one of the guys on their list got snagged like picks before.
okay,
They ended up going BPA because they ran out of players. And they submitted a list of like 20 guys. And usually that doesn't happen. So
yeah. So it's yeah. Hey, not saying they're bad players. They're like as you said, you like Colton Roberts. I just find Colton Roberts is vanilla. He's not offensive. He's not physical. He's not defensive. He's big. He's not a great skater. Like he's just not great at anything, and he's not good at anything, but he's not bad at anything.
yep, fair, fair.
So
But again, he went fifth round. We're talking
yeah.
131st
So
in the NHL.
149 pick. That's but he was just not somebody I was targeting.
Okay, Washington.
Gage.
Gage tore his
Gage.
whole team down, but he did get a lot in the first round. Like he got a lot of draft equity. I gave him an A. Actually, was it an A or an A minus? I think it was an A minus that I changed to an A because I felt he had a better draft than I did. So I think I gave him an A because I had given
Mm-hmm.
myself an A minus. I really like Zeev Bayum, Constant Helenius, the and I'm gonna air quote it, the reach on Igor Chernyshov. Like I have no problem with that. Adam Juracek at 24. I really I I really have a lot of questions about Adam Juracek personally, and we'll see what he becomes in the NHL. Like the injury concerns, I'm not
I
so sure.
think I think he wanted a defenseman, and when I took Solberg at 21 or 22,
Yeah,
he he was like, ah, I know he had 22. So I took Solberg just before him at 21 or
yeah.
20, or
Um,
I can't remember. So,
do
anyways, I
you,
took Solberg, and he had Solberg as on his list. So I think that's why he took Jiricek. I think because he was the best defenseman, and he wanted a D. I think Pedersen is going to be good. Um,
I love that pick.
and so I found Leanders was a reach at for his goalie, but I think he need just like me, he wanted a goalie and to add to his goalie of the future
Yeah,
prospects.
him and I chatted about that. He felt Leanders is the best goalie available at that point.
Yeah. And because they so many of them went in the second, third round and
Yeah,
in fourth round. So it's he didn't have a choice but to reach if you wanted a goalie at that point or try to trade for one. So I think he had a Z Buyum was at the top of my list from a long time ago, like months,
yeah, he
months,
was my
months,
number
months.
three. He was my third
Every time
player
you
on my.
kept talking about Z Boom, I'm like, stop, don't talk about Z Boom. When we were doing the draft shows, I was like, oh my god.
Oh,
I
I love
think
like yeah.
I think he might be end up being the best player out of this draft.
I wouldn't be. It would not surprise me if he ended up being the best player for sure.
He was like the only thing that I was not that had me because he's 6 foot tall as a defenseman, but amazing defenseman. So, and he got him just before I drafted at 8, at 7. So amazing pick at 7.
Yep. What's your feeling on Yurchek?
I'm not a fan. Not a fan at all.
Neither am I.
Not a fan.
Okay.
So
Winnipeg, our final.
Love his first 3 picks. William Linnaeus and Chernishaw. Not crazy about Yurchek, but he wanted to go defenseman, and I think he was the best defenseman at that point. In his opinion, I think Emery is going to be better than Yurchek.
Yeah, I'm not sure Yurchek ever makes it. I'm just not. I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Okay, Winnipeg, the last team.
Winnipeg.
What's funny is I kind of went in, you know how you have your own prejudices? I went into this going, okay, this is going to be like a B. And then as I started looking at it, I was like, wow, he did really well. Like, I ended up giving him an A minus. He got amazing value with his first 3 picks.
Yeah.
Although Boisvert, I'm not a huge Boisvert fan, but taking Boisvert at 14 isn't too bad. Like he's in that tier of players where he should have gone. But Van Acker at 29, I liked it. And like ridicule the Leafs all you want. Ben Danford going at 43. The kid's gonna play in the NHL. Like, the Leafs don't miss on those guys. And like I think the value is there. He's gonna be a third pairing defenseman. But he's gonna be a third pairing defenseman.
Yeah.
Like his ceiling and his floor are about the same thing.
Yeah, it at best he's gonna be a second pair.
Yeah.
Okay. But he'll make it. He'll make it in the NHL.
He's gonna be an NHL defenseman.
Yeah.
So like even with his last 2 picks, I can't criticize any of those picks.
Well,
so when I ended up looking at it, going, okay, well, he kind of has to be an A minus.
Yeah. So Moyevich, the goalie.
Yeah.
Again, he was at the top of my list for goalies, and I was hoping to get him. So good pick with him. Vanacker, I'm not sure if you know, played pretty much the whole season with a torn labrum, and including the playoffs. And he was the best player in the playoffs. He played Brantford played against Ottawa, and he was the best player for Brantford in the playoffs. And he was playing with a torn labrum. So that is an amazing pick at 29. Boisvert is just solid. And also Andre Betcher is an overager, and at 110, really good value for him. So
well, at the end of the day, like I couldn't, like I really felt that this was a strong draft for the picks he had, and it was good use of his picks.
Good job.
Yeah, good job.
Very good job.
And these are the players that weren't drafted, so watch really closely because they're all still available for next year's draft. There you go. And that's it. So now, if you want to watch those that stayed tuned, can pause the images and write all those names down, or maybe send me a message. Maybe I should give me $1 million DCHL cash, and I'll send you this. Maybe that's what I should do. Start selling out my
the
my
work
Excel
that you're
sheets.
doing, eh? The work that you're doing.
Yeah. So that's cool. Oh wow, it's really dark outside now in Ottawa.
I know. I know. Well, I don't know if you realize it's 10:45. We've been on almost 2 hours.
Wow. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
so let the preparation for the 2025 draft begin.
Yes. And preparation for so the next step is the free agency. And I think we should do a show before free agency starts. So next
Oh,
Sunday would be
we always try to do one like right at that noon or whenever the clock ticks over, we're on.
yeah.
So
So I
okay,
think maybe next Sunday do a free agency preview show,
sounds good.
and
I can probably do that.
we can
I'm on
do
summer vacation.
talk about what teams might be going for, what are the top free agents, and where they might go, who might be going for what,
Maybe we
because
should ask people to set up their depth charts.
yes,
That
yes,
would really be
I was
helpful.
looking if there's one team that has $21 million salary,
Really?
$21 million. I think it's
Wow.
Detroit,
They only have 21 million?
and yet
Well, there you go.
so I'm like
Make them
I
spend it.
need to add some salary. He needs to add some salary.
Well, maybe he's going to go for it this year. Montreal's
Well,
going for it.
well, was it him that bid like $15 million on a fourth line player, or not, a guy that wasn't even in the NHL anymore 2 years ago?
I'm assuming that was Bryce, but I don't know. I don't know.
You know,
You got to get to that salary cap floor.
yeah. So
He's also the guy that drafted. Who's the guy that played for Buffalo, the Buffalo Sabres in the NHL? Kyle Okposo. He's also the guy that had Kyle Okposo for like an 8-year, $8 million contract, or 6 years, 8 million.
yeah.
And he spent the entirety of that trying to trade that nonsense away. So,
So
well, we'll
we'll
see.
see. Yep.
We'll see. And we'll be two of their favorite Muppets. Okay, so stay tuned next week.
Next
I think
week.
we're good.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. So we will end it here, DCHL, and hopefully you stayed till the end. And don't forget to like and subscribe.